What did your grandma think about having a boyfriend? What did your mom think about having a boyfriend? What do you think about having a boyfriend? What do you want your daughter to think about having a boyfriend? About having sex? About using a condom? We didn't communicate with my mother at all about sex. When I tried to explain to my mother that I knew what sex was, she would think, well, you better not do it. Just stop, we would have no conversation about it. And for me, it was having my own son, knowing that this is repetitious if you're not aware of it. I started working for a very small pilot study called De Madre a Hija Protegiendo Nuestra Salud, which is from mother to daughter protecting our health. It was an intergenerational project that dealt with mother-daughter communication on sexual health issues, and that was my introduction to research, and that also ignited a lot of interest in my behalf about communication. How about we eat your favorite food, Alonso? We can pass on traditions to of our culture to our children, but what are these messages and what are these things that we really want to pass on to them? And I don't ever blame my ex for anything, because I think he also was he did exactly what his dad did, and I did exactly what my mom did. So I really wanted him to know that although we come from a great background, we have a great culture, great traditions, everything is possible for him. This is one of my favorite pictures of him in his sunglasses. At first, I thought, because I was involved in this MIHA study, and it was all about sexual communication, I thought, I got this. When my son's at that age, I will completely be 100% prepared to answer all and every question. But it wasn't that way. When he, started turning, from 5, 8, 9, 10, it was such a difficult process.
Y la más grande, el año pasado lo que hice, le dije, te voy a llevar a comer, la invité a comer. Nomás que también, como dijeron, no le digas nada ahorita porque, está sentida, está molesta. Me la llevé, sí me aceptó ir a cenar, pero también en todo el rato que fuimos era el teléfono testeando. Y estaba comiendo y testeando. Eso a mí me molestó, pero yo no le quise decir nada. Nomás lo le dije, ¿sabes qué? A mí me molestó el otro día que fuimos, me hizo sentir mal, que eso que... Yo se supone que vas conmigo, ese teléfono, no, pues es que me empieza a contestar y es que me están hablando y que yo no quería ir a cenar, porque él es el que quería así.
I myself was a teen mom, and I also come from, on my mother's side, a long line of women who have raised children on their own. And had them very young. And so I wanted to make sure that no other teen would have to struggle the way that I struggled. They called me before one of the meetings and said, we'd really like to have someone from the health center come in and talk about how to talk to your kids about sex. And I was like, right on, we'll be there,
Yo lo que yo le digo a mi niña que para todo hay tiempo. Yo tuve novio a los 15, 16 años, algo así, ¿ok? Dije, pero eran otros tiempos. Pero mi novio nomás me podía tocar la mano. Me podía tocar la mano. Y le digo, y ahorita no se trata de eso.
Sé que a veces es incómodo hablar con nuestros adolescentes abiertamente sobre esto, pero dice que si ustedes quieren pueden venir y ya sea ella o la educadora de salud, pueden ver cómo es que ellos hablan con los adolescentes para explicarles todos estos. Dice que es importante que se sepan proteger, que es importante que sepan de cómo usar el condón, que todos los métodos que hay de control natal, todo lo que hay. Dice, aunque no los usen, pero que ellos estén bien informados de todo lo que hay ahí.
Un chiste, pues, un joke que dice que el papá le dice al hijo, a ver, hijo, ven, porque yo y tú vamos a hablar. Dice, ok, ¿qué vamos a hablar? Dice, vamos a hablar de sexo. Y luego dice, ok, papá, ¿qué quieres saber?
Así están ahora.
I knew these conversations need to occur over time and in process of the age and what their maturity level is, and it continues. You can't just say, let's have the birds and the bees talk today, and that's it, you've done your job. Yeah. Now now I know, and I'm happy that I started these conversations early on. And it's really helpful because now he's in that, he's 13 and he's become a teenager and doesn't want to talk about nothing and is very shy about certain things, but I know he knows.
Oh, this is your first birthday. Look at Jose Luis. He still looks the same.
As a parent, a lot of times you think of your kid as this little kid that you loved and held and cuddled up and everything like that, and they're still at their core that little kid, but they're becoming the person that they're going to be. And so there's changes going on in their personality and the things that they're into, that they're interested in, what their hopes, their dreams, their fears, all of those things are changing. And so unless you stop and take a minute and find out, you may not necessarily know.
So when he was younger, I think there were talks about just the basics, anatomy. Then there were talks about sex, like, really, what is sex? When he found out exactly what sex was, he was disgusted. He's like, ew, that is so gross. Because it was so, difficult to try to give him everything at once, I bought books so for him to read, and we would go over the books in the car. Every now and then, like, can you read those two pages of that book? 26 and 27, and it would talk about, whatever it was on those 2 pages, and he would be like, whoa, what is this? And that's when he would ask questions, and I would answer them. So little by little, we got through the book, but it was in pieces, and it was in the car, and he was like, do I have to? And he pretended that he didn't really want to know, or he wasn't interested in the book at all. He's like, do I have to read these 2 pages? This is like boring. And I was like, just read it. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. And he would read them, and I would see his face, like his eyes like wide open. And now it's become questions where I feel it's evolving into relationships. And what would you, boyfriend, girlfriend. So, how old were you when you had a boyfriend? And what would you think if I had a girlfriend? Would you let her visit me here? And those types of interesting questions, that he's, 13 years old and starting to ask. Thank you.
It's more important to talk to your kid about having healthy relationships and making healthy choices in their life, and that will apply to everything, not sex. It applies to absolutely everything.
Yeah, that should be easy. Yours? Okay, that should be fine.
If your son's playing video games, why don't you sit down and play a video game with them? If they like to play basketball, softball, whatever, play with them. Cook a meal with them. It's amazing what you talk about when you're chopping vegetables. Having that awkward, sex talk, it doesn't need to be that. Start with just having a conversation about anything.
Want to do another one? No?
And to learn to not say everything you think, which is an important skill when you're parenting or just in life. I haven't mastered that one yet.
When my son asked, what does horny mean? I can't say, where did you hear that word? Who told you what horny? What friend of yours said that word? Then I lost an opportunity. So if they have a question, just say it. Just answer it, and don't even though as a mom you want to say, oh my God, I'm dying to find out who told you, or what little friend is talking about being horny or something. But, I had to contain myself all the time to make sure I just answer the question.
Pero es el de ver también sus cualidades de cada niño para engrandecerlo, para poder saber lo que quiere y lo que necesita. Y esa es una de las cosas que sí es cierto, muchas de las veces uno nada más quiere como padre ser el que mande, ser el que necesita y el que quiere, y no ver las cualidades del niño para ver qué es lo que necesita y lo que quiere realmente.
I think as our job as parents is to prepare our children to be in this world, and part of that preparation is informing them of all issues, including sexual issues, and including health and risks and friendships and emotional relationships. This is what we're here to be.